One half I, 28M, am an architect, which basically means I spend my life making sure things are structurally sound. Too bad, I didn't apply that logic to my family until recently. For the last 10 years, I've been the guy keeping everyone afloat. My dad passed when I was 18, and since then, I've been the one paying the property taxes on the family home, covering my sister's private university tuition, and even paying for my mom's lifestyle after she blew her savings on a failed boutique business. I never complained because I thought that's what a son and brother does. This structure started to crumble 6 months ago when my sister got engaged. She's marrying into one of those old money families, the kind of people who have Roman numerals after their names and act like they've never seen a grocery store. As soon as the ring was on her finger, the entitlement from my mom and sister didn't just grow, it became a full-blown personality. The breaking point happened at my mom's house. Well, the house I own. They sat me down for what they called a consultation. My mom had a wedding binder the size of a dictionary. She didn't look at me when she said, "We've been looking at the guest list, and the venue has a very strict capacity. Your sister's future in-laws are bringing some very influential people. Senators, CEOs, people who matter." I told her I could help with the seating chart, but my sister cut me off. "Actually, we've decided you're not going to be in the wedding party. This is a black tie event, and we need the spots for people who can actually help my new husband's career. Honestly, it might be better if you just don't come at all." I was stunned. I reminded them that I was paying for the catering, the dresses, and everything in between. My mom actually slammed her hand on the table and told me not to dare bring money into it. She told me I was rough around the edges and that my construction worker aesthetic would embarrass them in front of their new high society friends. Then she said the words that changed everything. "Don't even think about showing up to the wedding. You'll only ruin the photos. If you show up, I'll have security escort you out." I walked out. I didn't yell. I just went home and looked at my legal documents. See, a few years ago, my mom was in deep water with some creditors. To save the house from being seized, she signed the deed over to me entirely in exchange for me paying off her $80,000 debt. I am the 100% legal owner of that house. On top of that, the wedding fund they were using was a high-yield savings account in my name only. I had just given them the login info for emergencies. The next few weeks were wild. They didn't want me at the wedding, but they still sent me to-do lists. My sister emailed me asking me to coordinate the florist and pick up her designer gown. I replied that since I wasn't invited, I was busy. My mom called me screaming, saying I was obligated to provide for them because I was the man of the family, but that didn't mean I got to social climb with them at the wedding. That was the final straw. Exactly 32 days before the wedding, I hit the nuclear button. I revoked their access to the bank accounts and moved every cent of the wedding fund into a private brokerage. Then, I hired a process server. In my state, you have to give a 30-day notice to terminate a tenancy. I made sure my mom was served with an eviction notice for the family home. The fallout was instant. My phone was vibrating off the hook. My mom was wailing that some man had handed her legal papers at her house. I told her flat out, "It's my house. You're a tenant. And your tenancy ends 2 days before your big welcome brunch. Since I'm such an embarrassment, I'm sure your wealthy in-laws can find a hotel for you." Then my sister's fiancé, let's call him the third, called me. He tried to threaten me, saying his dad knew the zoning board and would ruin my career. I told him I'd be happy to go to the local news with receipts showing that his high society bride was actually a broke girl living off her brother's charity because her own family was bankrupt. He shut up pretty fast. But here's where the interconnected part comes in. While I was prepping the house for sale, I found a lockbox in the attic. Inside were checks my dad had been writing for years to a woman 2 towns over. I did some digging and found her. My dad had a whole other family. He had a 9-year-old son who looked exactly like me. My mother had found out years ago and used my dad's life insurance to pay for a hush money settlement, which is why she was actually broke and relying on me. She'd been using my hard-earned money to buy back the dignity she lost when she found out about the affair. The week of the wedding, things got ugly. My mom tried to file a police report for elder abuse, claiming I was withholding her meds. I showed the cops my Ring camera footage of her throwing vases at my door and my bank receipts showing I was the one paying for her pharmacy deliveries. The cops told her to go away. Then, the eviction deadline hit. 2 days before the wedding, I showed up with a sheriff and a moving crew. My mom was standing there in a bathrobe with a glass of wine, thinking I was bluffing. I wasn't. The movers started hauling her designer shoe collection and the Victorian furniture onto the lawn. My sister showed up screaming that I was ruining her life because the brunch was supposed to be at the house the next day. I just watched as the neighbors, the ones she wanted to impress so badly, stood on their porches and filmed the whole thing. The fiancé was there too, looking smug. I walked up to him and whispered, "I found the lockbox. I know about the secret son and the hush money. Do you really want to talk about lineage and honor right now? Because I'm one phone call away from telling your dad exactly who you're marrying into." He went white as a ghost and hid in his car. The actual wedding day was the finale. I didn't go to the ceremony, but I went to the venue right before it started. I handed an envelope to the head of security for the groom's father. It contained the bank statements showing I was the one funding my sister's life, the evidence of my dad's secret family, and proof that my mother was legally being evicted for non-payment of life. I sat on the hood of my truck in the parking lot and waited. 20 minutes later, the groom's father came charging out of the bridal suite like a bull. My sister was running after him, clutching her $15,000 dress in the dirt, and my mom was shrieking. The groom's father saw me and asked if it was true, if I was the one who had paid for everything. I told him, every cent. They've been lying to you about who they are because they think I'm too low class to be seen with. The groom's family didn't hesitate. They have a massive reputation to protect, and fraudulent in-laws wasn't part of the plan. They canceled the wedding on the spot. Since they had paid the venue fees, they told the staff to stop serving and go home. The guests were ushered out before the vows even happened. My sister and mom were left standing on a gravel path in designer silk with literally nowhere to go. My sister's fiancé didn't even say goodbye. He just hopped in his dad's town car and left. My mom tried to say I destroyed the family. I told her I just stopped being the one to pay for her lies. The house is sold now. I used the money to start an education fund for my half-brother, who is actually a great kid. 2 halves. My mother and sister are sharing a tiny apartment and working retail jobs they absolutely hate. They tried to sue me, but since there was no contract saying I had to pay for their lives forever, the judge basically laughed them out of court. It turns out the structure of our family was built on a foundation of my money and their lies. I just finally decided to stop being the architect of my own misery. If you liked seeing a high society train wreck, you should definitely subscribe. Unlike my sister's wedding, this story actually had a satisfying ending. Would you guys want to hear about the time my entitled boss tried to claim my patent as his own?